Hi, I'm so excited to be talking to Amy Andes today because I am fortunate enough to get to, mentor you as part of our grant, being a grant recipient for the grant we did for professional development with the Enthuse Foundation. And as soon as I talked to you and interviewed you and learned about your product, it all really resonated. I was really excited because even though I'm not that far along my journey, I kind of saw where you're starting here and that there's so much like opportunity to hopefully give some guidance and share some of the learnings I learned along the way. And also because I, in particular, have a daughter who is now 19 and can manage it on her own, but with severe tree nut allergies and anaphylactic allergy to tree nuts. So when I learned about your product, it, particularly resonated with me because I had the kid who needed to, bring her own desserts and things like that to birthday parties. So Amy, great to meet you. I'd love you to tell everybody so they know a little bit more about Banzo Butter and kind of how you got this started and this idea.
Yeah, so super excited for you to be my mentor also. But Banzo Brands is my company, and we are just really eager to advocate and create a more inclusive food industry for people with dietary restrictions. A lot of people are like, does that just mean food allergies? No, it also means if you have a food intolerance, a food sensitivity, there's a lot of things going on that are being researched and affect people. And so we're really trying to give a voice. I'm a food scientist, so from inside the food industry, I'm trying to make a change. And so we created a snack that is inclusive called Banzo Butter, and it is basically like a nut butter, but it's free of the top 14 food allergens and gluten. It's also vegan. And this is really because nut butters and peanut butters are such a classic staple in at least in American diets right now. And there's so many people who have never had that experience or been able to participate. So we made a product that they could participate with Banzo Butter.
Which is great. And you're talking to someone who does have other things that are not food allergies, but, intolerances like I am gluten-free. Mm-hmm. I don't need any dairy because I'm lactose intolerant. So this is totally speaking my language. And I'm a great taste tester too of lots and lots of brands and products, and yours being one of them, which is great. So tell us a little bit about how you developed the different SKUs, for example, you came up with. So here you wanted to do, an alternative to nut butter. How do you come up with the different SKUs that you're offering?
Yeah, something that also speaks to me is product development. I really like to be innovative with flavors and things like that. And so when I stroll down every single time I'm at the grocery store, I stroll down the nut butter aisle or peanut butter aisle, and you see the jams and you see the peanut butters, and there's typically like not a lot of differentiation. A lot of people have their original flavor, and so I wanted to have our original flavor, which really gets a nutty flavor from the roasted garbanzo bean. But I also wanted to expand because maybe we won't grab the attention of people with our original flavor that can consume peanut butter. Maybe they'll try a different flavor of Banzo Butter because it's healthy and their friends that can't eat peanut butter will eat it. So we created a chocolate flavor and a strawberry flavor. And the strawberry flavor is really kind of, well, I call it jam butter. It's basically the taste of jam, but the texture of nut butter. So it's really kind of its own thing at this point. There's nothing like it that I've found out there. And it's definitely the fan favorite. But we're really just trying to grab an audience that, again, the people that have those dietary restrictions, but also other people that are just wanting to try a unique new product that is better for the environment, because these beans are like regenerative to the soil, and also that is just has unique flavor offerings. So I get really excited about that. And sometimes my business partner lets me do seasonal flavors when we have the money in our budget. So I've also created a pumpkin spice and mint chocolate chip.
Yum. Yeah, I think birthday cake should be down the road because I feel like I'm a big fan of that. And now you can find like vegan sprinkles and things like that. So, well, I love that. I love that you thought of like different ways and how you wanted to present different flavors. And I like that actually you made it kind of easier. So if you have the jelly and the butter all in one. You kind of don't have to find both of those to make a, sandwich. And so tell us a little bit about like, so obviously production and where are you producing this, and a little bit about, so everyone, you start something and let's say you start making in your kitchen or whatever, and then you have to figure out like, how do you get it out there? So what is your kind of strategy as far as like D2C versus like retailers and getting into retailers? Both of those have their own complications and set of challenges. So I'm just curious kind of like what, how you've set that up.
Yeah, so it took me a while to figure out the formulations, and it was really kind of a one-person show for a really long time. So I was wearing a lot of hats, and so we started in my kitchen. We couldn't sell from my kitchen because of cottage food laws, and then so I transferred to a commercial kitchen. But between that time, I was really, really trying to find a facility that could that was free of the top 14 food allergens that could like co-manufacture my product for me. And I was told by like a lot of mentors, okay, well, you need to just do a few runs before you even go to a co-man. You need to have a certain demand to go to a co-man. And so basically I spent 2 years of my journey looking for this co-manufacturer, only to then go to a commercial kitchen to just get the proof of concept. So I do tell people that have severe allergies that don't like to see, processed in a facility with certain allergens, then my product is not for you at this time point. But if you're okay with in a facility, my cleanliness and sanitation is super on par, and I'm like crazy about it when I go there. So it definitely is not in the product, any of the allergens. It just might come into contact. And so what we started doing was we sell direct to consumer on our website. We started out with 12-ounce jars. We quickly realized that bean butter is a really weird product. People don't know what to expect. They think it's going to be dessert hummus or savory. And so the 12-ounce jars just like weren't working for us because people wanted to sample the product. And we were getting that feedback at farmers markets as well. So we actually then switched to a 3-ounce jar, which allows people to sample it, also to sample multiple flavors at once. And we got like it absolutely helped us. So now people do buy those big jars after buying the small jars, figuring out their favorite flavor, and then going for the bigger one. We're also trying to work on like little pouches too, but
that's something I love the idea of. But I like that you continuously like iterate and reevaluate. And so you're taking like customer feedback and seeing what they wanted and what's working well, and then refining it. So I think that's so essential, especially for an entrepreneur, that you constantly have to be like looking at different ways and evaluating what's working. And you really can't go in with like a mindset. Like it's definitely not the area to have like a fixed mindset of like, nope, I'm going to try and do it just like exactly this way. I feel like you have to go in with a growth mindset, and there's always like learnings to be had. And maybe one way you thought was going to work is not the way, and people want a different way, so I think that's great, that kind of flexibility.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be anywhere if I didn't have the flexibility, because I was so set on having a free from kitchen. And then so many people told me, no, you really have to get to a commercial kitchen. So I let my stubbornness go aside and be like, you're right. I do need to just see if this product even has any need in this market, type of thing.
So what do you find some of like the biggest challenges? I mean, I know because I'm also a startup and there are just so many. I mean, I just had a whole shipment of bottles that didn't make the boat. They're supposed to be coming in, so there's plenty of supply chain challenges, lots of challenges. What for you are some of the biggest challenges that you faced as you're trying to like get started? I know as you're trying to like make this more of your full-time career if you can, and not, a side hustle that is a full-time career that's also a side hustle. So what do you think are some of the biggest challenges?
I think my biggest one is surrounding people with people that also believe in it. There's a lot of naysayers out there, and if they catch you on a day where you just like can't tolerate it, it could be really destructive. obviously I went to a conference this week and it was all amazing, like so much support. It keeps you motivated, keeps you going. But I started this during grad school and I kind of kept it on the down low because I was worried that people would judge me for not focusing on my studies and like not being a good student, even though I still managed it. So I think it's really like the mindset is one of the hardest parts, especially when if you have a full-time job and you're going to work the whole day and you have to be focused on something else, even though this is what you want to be focused on. And then you come home, you do 3 phone calls at night because that's the only time you can do it. Then you use your whole weekend on your company as well. It just becomes very tiring, and you need to have that positivity like continuously pumped into you.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the harder ones. And then the second, which I'm sure everyone would say, is just finding the right funding opportunities. Since I started this in grad school, I afforded it by dog sitting and babysitting, which like I love kids and I love dogs, but it is just like unconventional way to start a business. And so just as we grow, people, we want nicer things, we want to improve our labels, we want to do things, but finding that money has been really tricky.
Well, I'm going to touch on both of those. So first, imposter syndrome is real, and it really doesn't matter where you start in your career. So I came out of being a stay-at-home mom and re-entering the workforce, and I was like you, where I didn't say anything to anybody because I just didn't feel like I had the credibility. And then there would be people who are like, well, what do you know about tequila? How are you starting a tequila company? And I'm like, well, I don't know, I can research anything like anybody else and learn about it and figure out the industry. But I think women also tend to do that a lot. Like, we don't want to say anything until we've done, before I said anything, I'd done like a ton of research, extensive research. I had read everything on it. I had like been certified by the CRT in Mexico on the production history of tequila. And I wanted to make sure I like knew ins and outs so that people would like think I'm legitimate. So I think women tend to do that. I think men maybe would throw an idea out there like a lot quicker, like, oh, I had this great idea, and do that, and then not worry so much about how people are viewing it. So I agree with you on that. And I think no matter what, and I don't think it really even matters, maybe even how far along you are. I always think there's going to be a day where you're like, on any given day, you can be like, what am I doing? Who am I? How can I be doing this? And then the next day someone's like super positive. You're like, oh yeah, but I can do it. So I think that it's real, and everybody feels it. It like doesn't matter what stage of life and how you're starting. And then funding, I think it's really interesting because I think there's just so many different options and alternatives. And I think, sometimes everyone looks at it as like the ultimate is like, I got the, highest amount of like VC funding. Well, there's a lot that you're giving away to do that, and starting out and being a really new brand like I am, that would mean, not a great valuation. That is a very huge time commitment. You're answering other people. You have a vision. It's still starting to take off, and like seeing your vision come to life. So I think looking at all the different options. So I said, I've given you my advice, like on some things, like look at the, First Women's Bank in Chicago, right? A bank specifically set up to try and provide small business loans for female founder companies. Like, how amazing is that? And they're based here. And I think what they're doing is incredible. I think looking at different crowdfunding options, but like non-equity crowdfunding options, like I Fund Women. Here, you can go on I Fund Women, do a crowdfunding, and also build like a ton of brand awareness and like fans of the brand, because these people, and you're giving them samples, you're giving them a sample pack, you're giving them swag, you're, teaching them how to make it if for a higher level, whatever it is. You have like all these different options of how you want to incentivize people. But I think that's a great option. And then just like you applied for this grant, which is for professional development, but there are a lot of grants, I would say, like, subscribe to Hello Alice, where like every week they're sending out a list of all the different grant opportunities. I don't know if you did the pitch competition, like not the Enthused Foundation, but the WFN, Women Founder Network. Like, they have their pitch competition that they run every year. Like, there are so many of those. Mm-hmm. And I think you're also not just getting like a grant or something, but you're getting guidance. Like, you're then aligned with an organization or people who are, who can also help, move you forward. there's like a pitch for Naturally Chicago where you can get a booth if you win at Expo East. I mean, things like that are expensive that you can get,
Right.
So looking at all those different options, I mean, yes, it takes a lot of work to kind of uncover all those, but they're out there, and maybe ways to like continuously just to get by
Yeah.
and get enough to like, really hone in and build your proof of concept and things like that. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Like, look at all these different alternatives while you're getting started, and be as scrappy as possible, which I know you are, and I know you're
As a
careful.
grad student, I know how to do that.
Exactly. But those are my kind of 2 points on that. But I feel very fortunate that we are connected. I'm super excited because anytime that there's anything I learned along the way, my whole goal is to hopefully maybe allow some other woman to skip a few steps and maybe not have to do a ton of research that I could have done in a subject area. Maybe I can impart something that I learned with all my kind of due diligence and a million things, and just save someone else some time and help them move along quicker. So I feel lucky that I can hopefully do that and, collaborate and be a taste tester, especially if we ever come up with like, a birthday cake flavor. I'm a good taste tester. But yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, I feel super lucky to be your mentee. There's been other people that, come in at the very beginning that I've helped, skip certain steps as well. And it is honestly the best feeling. Like if my company doesn't work out at the end of the day, at least I helped a few other people. That's what I get out of it.
I agree. It really feels good to pay it forward. Like, honestly, if there's like an introduction or anything I could do, I'm like, I feel good that that something I learned, some of the work that went in, at least like paid off to move someone else along. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for letting me interview you on our little Zoom that'll go up on YouTube on Inspiro Tequila. I love featuring other female founders just because that's like my world and everyone I'm, connected to in this world. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.